In my last comparison video between the Diverge Sport Carbon and the Comp Carbon, I covered some key differences between these two versatile and fun-to-ride bikes that are within the financial reach of most cyclists. That video is nowhere near comprehensive and focused too heavily on the $900 difference. Many of you let me know how I missed a few key differences in the comments. So, dear viewer, here's your official, comprehensive, and unbiased video on the differences between the Specialized Diverge Sport Carbon and the Comp Carbon. Well, mostly unbiased, but you're pretty smart and you can decide for yourself what works and what doesn't for your riding style. This will be an informative one, so let's get started. Every video I put together is shot and uploaded in 1080p or 4K, but YouTube often displays content in lower resolution, which requires you to change the quality. If the video you're watching right now looks like crap, take a moment to change the quality to the highest resolution your display will allow. I promise you, this video will be more enjoyable. I cover a lot of adventure on this channel, so while you're down there, go ahead and click on the subscribe button to follow along. One difference between these two gravel-capable bikes is the type of carbon frame. The Sport has specialized FACT 8R carbon frame, while the Comp has FACT 9R. What the heck does this mean, and is there a noticeable difference between the two? FACT, F-A-C-T, is an acronym for Functional Advanced Composite Technology. That's a marketing term that just means each carbon frame has a different manufacturing process that impacts weight and ride characteristics. How weight impacts ride is pretty obvious. Ride characteristics can be perceived in stiffness and, more importantly, road chatter. For the gravel bike world, this would be absorbing many bumps and chatter on forest roads and single track. The Comp frame is 100 grams lighter than the Sport. It's possible if you've been riding specialized carbon frames for decades, you may notice a difference. If you've been riding aluminum or steel frames for years, you'll definitely notice the ride quality difference of these carbon frames. But most riders won't notice an appreciable difference between FACT 8R and 9R weight or ride characteristics. The next difference comes with the Future Shock. Sport has the 1.5 and the Comp is the lowest priced model in the lineup with the on-the-fly adjustability and the hydraulic dampening of the 2.0. If you want to quickly change the suspension in the Comp, simply turn the dial. The hydraulic dampening for the 2.0 is a great selling point because it reduces bounce. To change the rate of compression in the 1.5, you have a choice of 3 progressive springs and what you need to swap out before you ride. Is the convenience of the 2.0 worth it? More broadly, is the Future Shock in general a needed benefit? Most gravel cyclists are happy to manage suspension with their tire choice and pressure. There will always be a need to adjust tire pressure for the riding environment. Is the Future Shock even needed at all? Maybe those of us that have been riding gravel for decades can learn a thing or two and give the Future Shock more saddle time before judging. I know I would like the benefit of less fatigue leading to longer rides, but I'm a tinkerer and the Future Shock is not a design you can swap out easily. With that said, I'm rooting for the success of the Future Shock in hopes that it becomes an option in many of our quivers. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think of the Future Shock. The next difference is the seat post. The Sport has a standard specialized carbon seat post. Nothing special about it unless you have never used a carbon seat post. The Comp has the Roval Terra carbon seat post. The Terra seat post allows for much more vertical compliance. This provides greater comfort, especially on rough roads and single track. Like other suspension seat posts, the Roval Terra takes some getting used to if you've not experienced riding with one before. But the experience and comfort is well worth it. When the 2021 Diverge was released last spring, the Terra was not available as a standalone product. That's since changed and it's now available for sale at your local bike shop and at Specialized.com. The benefits of the Terra are great enough that I plan on adding it to my Silver Wolverine. I'll have a full review video on it and plenty of images on my Instagram. Follow along if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on the Terra. The SWAT system that's included on the comp and not on the Sport is one of the most noticeable differences between the two models. The concept of storing packable items in your frame is a novel one, but its usefulness comes down to the type of riding you plan to do and what you want to pack. The SWAT system is great if you plan an out and back longer day ride without packable gear. It's perfect for emergency cache, an extra or emergency tube, or a packable rain jacket. But if you have a sag wagon, are bike packing, or on a multi-day ride where you have packable gear, it's truly not needed. The SWAT system is great if you want to pack energy gels or bars on those out and back longer day rides. You can pack bar after 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 bar. When stuffed full of energy bars, they can get wrapped around the cable housing or caught in the bottom of the frame, necessitating turning the bike upside down and shaking it like a bottle of ketchup until that stuck bar comes out. Most importantly, you can't pack one of the most important items. The opening is just not wide enough for a can or a long neck bottle of beer. In all seriousness, the SWAT is convenient, but only if you need it for those light and fast, longer rides. Another key difference is the tubelessness of each bike. Yeah, I know tubelessness is not a word, but it fits here. While both the Sport and Comp are sold with tubes, and both have the gravel-specific, inexpensive, but yet capable tubeless-ready DT Swiss G540s that are built around the standard Specialized through-axle hubs, the Sport is equipped with the non-tubeless Pathfinder Sport tires, and the Comp has the tubeless-ready Pathfinder Pro. This is a minor difference since both have the tubeless-ready G540 rims. If you buy the Sport, you can ride the Pathfinder Sports until bald and swap out for a tubeless tire, or do what I did and slap on a pair of Gravel Kinks right out of the gate. In the last video, a lot of commenters felt I did a disservice to viewers by failing to mention the difference in drivetrain and brakes. I'll admit that that's true, and rightfully so. The differences are subtle at first glance, but if you look closer, they can change the way you ride the bike. Since it's more straightforward, let's take a look at the Comp first. It has Shimano's gravel-specific GRX 810 throughout. The GRX 810 hydraulic levers and mechanical shifters are top of the market. If you've ridden with Shimano before, the GRX 810s are equivalent to the road-based Ultegra. If you fare more towards pavement than gravel, the 4831 RX 800 crankset really shines here. The Sport has a mix of 810, 600, and 400 GRX components. This isn't necessarily bad, but you should know what you're getting before you buy it. Both the Sport and Comp have the same GRX 810 front and rear derailleurs, and each are kitted with Shimano's 105 cassette. The drivetrain differences end there. The Sport has GRX 600 levers. The shape and size of the 600s are equivalent to the 810s on the Comp, and they're about 60 grams heavier. There are three other key differences here though. The simplest is the 810s have a more textured hood for supposed better grip. That's nice, but more importantly, the 810s have an adjustable brake pad bite point adjustment screw that the 600s are lacking. That allows you to adjust your levers to fit your riding needs. Most importantly, the 810s have the servo wave technology. This increases pad travel much faster so that less lever movement is required, leading to greater braking power and control. Leave a comment below if you want me to cover more about the servo wave technology. It's pretty interesting, some like it, some don't. But let me know what you think. So there you have it, the most comprehensive and somewhat unbiased comparison of the Specialized Sport Carbon and Comp Carbon.